All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Patty Medina. I am here with the awesome Coach Tiny Adams. We are here for our WBB Women's Basketball Wednesday Spotlight. And today we have the opportunity of talking to Coach about everything that's going on in her life. But before I get started, I would love for you, Coach, to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Definitely grateful to be on this podcast with you. We go a little bit ways back, so this should definitely be an enjoyable experience. But for those that don't know, my name is Corinne Tiny Adams. 99% of people call me Tiny. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Got to Baltimore in 2006, where I played at Morgan State University. Graduated from there in 2010, and then went on to play professionally overseas for 7 years. Unfortunately, I wasn't that great of an athlete in the sense that I didn't take care of my body, so I had a bit of an early retirement. After I retired, I didn't know immediately that I wanted to coach. I just knew I wanted to stay around the game. So I did a couple of things. I officiated. I got all the way up into JUCO women's basketball. But I started to coach with a local Baltimore boys high school team called Polytechnic. And, a friend of mine, Sam Brand, he had a tremendous impact on my career. He reached out in regards to, helping with his point guards. And then that's kind of when everything sparked. So that was back in 2017. I was fortunate to actually walk on, in a sense, to Morgan State's men's basketball staff as a video coordinator. And that was about 2018. And then from there on, I was fortunate to get a position with Loyola men's basketball for the past 3 seasons. And, also on the side, I started a nonprofit organization called Leader Breeders, Inc. So, that's kind of my path from playing to officiating. I also worked with an agency for some time. So I kind of saw all different avenues and perspectives of the game. And, for me, basketball is life, as the saying goes. But it's given me so many tremendous opportunities that, I'm just trying to make sure that, I'm paying it forward and make the impact necessary to help other people not only do what I've done, but continue to kind of just, go above and beyond what I've done.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think a lot of times coaches don't go into coaching with already having had that intention. It's one of the everyone that I've always talked to has kind of accidentally falling into coaching, or they realize how much they enjoyed it as much as playing or being around it. And so it's important. So we get the exclusive. And I was telling you earlier that, I'm excited because I am really looking forward to discussing this. We have like the exclusive interview of you recently announced that you were taking a step away from coaching to focus on family and focus on other things that you're passionate about and finding new passions that you might not have tapped into yet. So tell us, what were the deciding factors that led you to really deciding to say, hey, it's time for me to step away from coaching momentarily, or, you'll tell us whether it's momentarily, whether it's, you're officially early retirement for that as well, or if you say, hey, if this opportunity comes up, I would definitely go back to coaching. So let us know, what were the deciding factors that made you realize, like, okay, it's time for me to step away?
Yeah, so for me, as I mentioned, my path was a little bit different. I started out just working with the high school boys team, and then I was able to get a grad assistant position at Morgan State within the athletic department. So I saw a little bit of how things worked, but as I said, I kind of just walked into a voluntary video coordinator role with, Morgan State, and that was at the peak of the pandemic. So, that 1 year at Morgan as, a video coordinator, getting that first taste of the sideline, it was a great experience, but you don't really know what you're getting into until you're in there, So crazy because of how hard I was grinding to, let people know what I wanted to do, let people know that I wanted to coach on the men's side. Literally right after that year, I got the call from Coach Hardy to come work with him at, Loyola University, Maryland. And for me, I'm a big planner, but like, as I always tell him, like, he sped up my 5-year plan. Like, I didn't expect to become an assistant coach until maybe year 4, year 5. And here he was making it happen at year 2. So, you get into this position, and as I mentioned, it's smack in the middle of the COVID year. So, my learning curve is sped up. I'm being aware of compliance rules, things that I didn't really necessarily know or pay attention to in my previous roles or even as a student athlete. So, 3 years in, and I think for me, of course, the priority was my family. My grandfather passed in September, and I just didn't feel like my mom and my grandma were in the best space. Even during this past season, like I was driving home on game days all the way to New York to take my mom to the, doctor. Then I'm driving back, and it's my scout. Like those are some of the things that I had to handle during the season. My grandma's in Tampa by herself essentially. So they just weren't in a great space. And, me being, like I said, ball is life mentality, I've kind of always let basketball take precedent over everything that was going on. So, I missed the trips, I missed the cruises, I missed the birthdays, I missed the weddings because I was just so focused on achieving my goals. So, as the season was, coming to an end and just, constantly talking to them, and even just their vibe wasn't just, something that I felt like, I can continue to have the way it was. So the number one priority and reason was to spend more time with them. So, right now we're in Austin, we're doing a little Texas tour. 2 weeks ago I went to Aruba with my grandma. 2 weeks before that we were all in Florida together. So, just being able to have the freedom and the flexibility to just do some of the things that we haven't been able to do. For me, that was really, something of importance because I just really didn't like the way that, I felt like they were feeling. And, all I really was able to do was, calls once a day, but I couldn't see them because, college basketball coaching, that's like a 16 to 20 hour day job, So that was the primary reason. And then, as I mentioned, compliance wise. So, my passions are for sure basketball, but it's also helping people. And when you look at the rules, it makes it kind of hard to do a lot of the things that I like to do, So, I started this nonprofit literally maybe 3 weeks before Coach Hardy called me. So prior to this year, everything was kind of circled around our season and my availability. But, I was able to do a lot of different things these past couple of weeks that would have been against the rules. So for me, the secondary reason was just because I felt like I was restricted. I didn't feel like I could be me 100%, and being me is helping the youth, being a mentor to them. And like I said, a lot of the things that I like to do were against the rules of compliance. So that was something else where it was like, I loved working with my guys. I loved being an assistant, collegiate basketball coach. I love recruiting. I love everything that it comes with, but I still just felt like I wasn't able to be me 100%. So for me, it's like if I'm not 100% fulfilled, then it's like maybe it's time that I try to see if there's something else I can do. Through February and March, I had this like feeling in my heart of just making a way bigger impact. And, I feel like the way the dynamic is in college basketball, I'm kind of restricted to only making that direct impact with my 18 guys. Of course, you can do little things here and there, but not to the capacity that I wanted to do it. And then even with them, there were restrictions. Like, I'm a gym rat, but when we're in the off season, we only get 4 hours a week with them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't what I thought it was, but don't get me wrong, I was 1,000% grateful for the position and the opportunity and the experience. But like, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know until you get in, So as I said, like I had that one season with Morgan as more of a supporting role. So I didn't really get all of the knowledge, the experience, and the exposure to what it really takes to be a successful collegiate program, but also what it takes to be compliant in that space. So, for me, it was, definitely rooted in, spending time with my family, but it was also just feeling restricted to, not being able to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do, because that was also my escape. So we may be on a 3-game losing streak, and I would just probably go, help out some young kids somewhere. But I couldn't necessarily do that because of the rules and also the time. Because we on a losing streak. I got to figure out what's going on. Like we got to be in the gym. I'm watching film, so it's like, I didn't mind the grind, but I wasn't 100% fulfilled. So I won't say that I won't ever go back to it, but right now I'm really enjoying not just the freedom, but being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, no matter what age they are, no matter if they're good athletes, no matter if they're just starting out. But I will say this so that it's on the record. I definitely would love to be the head coach of Morgan State's women's basketball team whenever that position opens up. But aside from that, right now, I don't really see myself getting the urge to just jump right back into it. It would have to just be like a really perfect situation.
Yeah.
And I know some of the roles and the rules are changing within the staff. So, I will never say never, but I think right now, thinking short term, the next 6 to 12 months, I'm not 1,000% interested in jumping right back into it. I've been able to really put some good foundational steps down for my nonprofit. I'm doing everything from after school programming to, summer basketball camps. We're also getting in a space of behavior health and mental health. So I'm really having the opportunity to make a way larger impact within the community. And it's crazy because I've still been able to lean on, collegiate athletes in a sense because I've done, different seminars at middle schools in Baltimore where I'm having a couple of, athletes from different schools come. So I had, players from Loyola and Morgan. I've had, track athletes from Towson come and speak to the kids. So I'm still able to be connected in that space. But right now, I'm not in a rush to kind of jump back into it. And, there's been a couple people reaching out and I just had to, politely decline because I'm in a good space right now. So, I want to continue to build up my nonprofit, continue to put some things in place. And then, like I said, you never know what can happen. Maybe the Morgan job opens up and, I'm able to interview. Maybe there's another position that, sounds a little bit more ideal for me and what I'm trying to do. And, maybe I'll, visit that whenever the opportunity arises. But right now I'm locked in with Leader Breeders. I have a couple of other, ventures I'm working on and, I'm just, back on my serial entrepreneurism. That's kind of how I got, in a sense, to get that position that early and that soon because, I was grinding. I was doing a lot of different things. I was officiating. I was working with an agency. I was working with Poly. I was doing some consulting. And then, I had the brand, some training. So it's like, I'm getting back to, that New York hustle and grind. So, like I said, I'm in a good space right now.
Yeah, no, and that's a very compact answer. And there's so many things I want to touch base on that. But one of the things that really stood out is, and we get to talk about it because we stepped away. So I told you, like with me, I was coaching 16 years. I didn't come to the aha moment that you did as early as you did. Luckily for you, you spent a few years and then you had your aha moment. Whereas with me, I was in it for 16 years. And then I realized one day, like, hey, I'm not fulfilled. I need to be more impactful. And then transition into athletics. And like you said, before we were impacting 15 to 18 players that are on a roster. Now we're impacting athletic departments, people from soccer, basketball, baseball, all kinds of sports, ages from, little ones to big ones and older ones, high school, college. And so a lot of coaches obviously can't address the compliance issues because they're in a position where they don't want to get in trouble, right? But in a sense, they need to be addressed so that there can be some changes. So what do you think really was and I know I've worked in camps for like NCAA Division I schools and you have to wear certain attire. The coaches that work those camps can't work at other schools. And so there's so many rules and the ideas. What was the one rule so that people that aren't familiar with compliance that really caught you off guard and you were like, okay, this might need to change in the future to allow coaches to be more impactful, you know?
So, I mean, it's hard because, I mean, I get why they're in place because at some point in time, some people took advantage of it,
Yeah.
but it's like I understand the ruling behind, limited hours in the gym, the quote unquote, special benefits and stuff. But like, for instance, I was talking to a women's basketball coach, and as at the mid-major level, traveling, you're getting back from road trips, 2 a.m. Say your particular student athlete, is 20 minutes from campus or whatever the case may be. Technically, you can't take that student athlete home. And
Right.
it's like, I get it. It's in place because somebody took advantage of it. They were kind of, doing whatever to, help the student athlete, give them perks or whatever the case may be. But this is a matter of safety in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So little stuff like that, I do understand, of course, we got, the money stuff going on right now. But I didn't really understand that in a sense in regards to the, NIL. But I think for me, my involvement with the youth was the hardest to kind of grasp in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the kids that I was working with and trying to mentor and help, they're not even probably going to go D3, So it's
Right.
like, I get that, the relationship piece is definitely important when recruiting, but it's like, I don't have any ill intentions, or I'm not helping
Yeah.
this player so that in 7 years they can come to Loyola University, Maryland. I'm just doing a lot of stuff out of the kindness of my heart,
Mm-hmm.
even to like, you know, donating items to, schools and high schools and programs. And I get it. It's like, you can't specifically donate anything to a high school team, but you can
Mm-hmm.
give it to the school or you can give it to a nonprofit. But it's like, when I got to Loyola, we had over 400 pairs of sneakers in inventory that nobody was going to wear. So I had to strategically find different nonprofits and organizations to give them to. But why not give it to, Polytechnic High School down the street? Like I said, it doesn't
Yeah.
guarantee that they're going to come to Loyola. But when we speak about the core values of the university, it's to take care of your, immediate
Your
community.
community.
So
Mm-hmm.
they're literally 5 blocks away. Why can't we, do something nice for them? And I get it. Like in that time, Poly had a lot of D1 players. So it could have looked like,
Conflict of
that.
interest.
Yeah, but at the same time, the guys that were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 on the bench, they needed that stuff.
Yeah.
And their families couldn't provide it. So it's like, I see it, but it just was hard to grasp because it's like, wow, like, I get it. People may take advantage of these
Mm-hmm.
situations, especially at the higher level. But, for me, I'm just really trying to, give back and really just, help these kids get to wherever it is they're trying to get to. But off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything else that was like, yo, what? I can't do that. It's more so just the limitations of the hours of
Yeah.
being in the gym. Because also, like, in the summer, we could only, work with them either 6 to 8 weeks, I believe it is. And it's like, for me, that's the time to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when they leave in May, they come back either July or mid-July. Like, that's another 6 to 8 weeks where we can't touch them. We don't know what they're working on. They could be with their
Right.
trainers working on step backs and all type of crazy stuff when we could be the ones preparing them for the next season.
Yeah.
Like I said, even in the spring we get, 8 hours total, but you got to throw in, lifting and all of that good stuff. So it's like 4 hours a week in the off season is just like, it's hard to help,
Yeah.
people get better. So for me, those were some of the things that kind of just like I was taken aback to in regards to just, how everything works compliance wise. Even, the visits and all of that good stuff. I think it's interesting. Like, I was definitely reading that manual like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Even just like if you look across the gender, because like a lot of the girls on the women's team, they wanted me to work with them. They came to me for mentorship and advice, but I couldn't even play open gym with them,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. Like I couldn't work them out because I would be looked at as another accountable coach. You know what I mean? So like the little stuff that I enjoy doing, it made it really, really hard. Like, even just being in the gym, like I like to watch a lot of the local trainers and see, what are they doing, how are they doing player development. But it's like the last couple of years I've had to strategically like, all right, let me know when you only have pros in your workouts because
Yeah.
I can't watch the high school kids or, you know, um I can't go watch open gyms, like I'm a basketball junkie, so I love that
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like I can't just go to my man, Jamal 9450 open runs if there's gonna be high school kids there, So it's
Yeah.
like it just made it a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. But like I said, I figured out, how to maneuver. I probably got on my compliance officer's nerves, but literally anything that arises, I made sure to reach out and just make sure that compliance wise that I was doing what I was supposed to do. But it was a lot. It was like trying to walk on eggshells and making
Yeah.
sure you're doing all of this right. And it's like even like social media, like you can't really comment, you can't communicate. It just made it difficult. Like I really had to make a big adjustment of how I maneuvered because also I'm the type where like I answer all messages.
Yeah.
Anybody reaches out to me, I'm gonna definitely, answer. So even when you have, recruits trying to just start to form a relationship or people I already knew, and I know there's some stuff where, the previous relationship been established, so you're good, but it's like I had to stop, certain communication with certain kids that no, I was not recruiting them, but they did come to me for advice and things of that
Yeah.
nature. So it kind of does, result in a conflict of interest. Even with coaches, like a lot of my guy friends are coaches, so I had to figure out how to maneuver those relationships differently. Like Sam, that's my guy, but
Mm-hmm.
he's head of operations for Team Mello. So now it's like, dang, like we can't really go to lunch every week like we usually do, or have
Yeah.
our basketball brain talks. Like we can do it, but it's got to be at a minimum and a certain time of year and all that. So it just was tough. But like I said, I understand why the things are in place because once upon a time, some people took advantage of it,
Yeah.
but it just made it hard. And I liked it for the 3 years that I did it, but like I said, I just reached that aha moment where it was like, I think I'll be better served
Yeah.
being able to kind of have the freedom to move how I want to move. Because now I can train whoever I want. I can advise whoever I want.
Mm-hmm.
I can even help with NIL deals because you can't do that as a coach either. So, all of my connections in the city, I can help local athletes get opportunities.
Yeah.
I can do camps. I can help them run their own camps. Like it's just so many other things I can do now that I'm not contracted as a NCAA assistant collegiate coach now. I'm just an independent, contractor,
Yeah.
being able to be the light that I want to be,
Yeah, and it's crazy because so many people have that goal of like, I want to be a Division 1 college coach, and then they don't really know the behind the scenes. And for me, I had the opportunity to really talk to NAIA coaches that were D1 caliber coaches, and I would always ask them like, "Hey, why don't you move up? Why don't you move up?" Or JUCO coaches, "Why don't you move up?" And they're like, "Nah, because I feel more impactful at this level, and I have less restrictions at this level, and I can do a nonprofit, and I can go out and venture, and I can set a schedule, and I can recruit at all times of the year." And so I think a lot of people don't really realize the behind the scenes of that. And then on the flip side too, you have the student athletes that, as you mentioned, had a relationship with you, and then you get in this position and all of a sudden you have to thread this water of conflict and trying to figure out how to maneuver and how to have those relationships.
Yeah, that was a challenge for me, balancing my loyalty in a sense. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm building with the guys, but it's certain stuff, that I gotta, inform my head coach about. And it's
Yeah.
like in the beginning I kind of battled with, am I, breaking the trust of, my players, but at the same time you understand like your boss is
It's your
number one.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? And then, like sometimes, you have kids who mean well, but then you have some that are a little bit ill-advised. So it's like, I
Yeah.
can't lose my job for you. But, kind of teetering that line of like,
Hmm.
all right, like, and I tell them now, like, the first year I was like, I don't know. And then also, sometimes your head coach may be like, look, there's certain things I want to know and there's certain things I don't want
Right.
to know. So it was just kind of figuring out, because like I said, I had only had that 1 year.
Hmm.
So it was like, I was just trying to figure it out. I was reaching out to people, but I also didn't want to, throw anybody under the bus or share too
Yeah.
much. So that was a challenge, because literally the moment I told my guys what was up and what I was thinking about doing, like they kind of felt relieved in a sense. Because
Yeah.
it was like, Coach Tiny, like,
Like,
I've
yes,
been
we can
letting,
holler at
yeah,
her.
yeah, like I've been telling you stuff, but I haven't been telling you the whole story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been dealing with stuff, but I also don't want y'all to think that I'm not locked in. And it's like, you can get that sometimes because, they make up things in their head, but there's
Hmm.
certain things where it was like, like, yo, look, I appreciate you telling me, but I really need to let, my supervisors and other people know, because,
Yeah, we're mandated
I'm mandated.
reporters.
I'm mandated. You
Mandated
know what I'm saying?
reporters.
I'm mandated, but
Y'all better
we'll get you.
mute your stories.
Yeah, we'll get you the necessary resources you need, but I gotta share this info, and I
Yeah.
hope it doesn't prevent you from letting me know things in the future, but I'm just letting you know what I'm saying. So it was definitely an experience. I learned a lot both on the court and off the court, even just administrative wise. A lot of things and policies and just the way they did things. I do apply to my own business entities and
Hmm.
things of that nature to a certain extent, but yeah, nah, it's interesting, and that's why I answer every message, because like you don't know until you get in it. But
Yeah.
like you said, you have a lot of aspiring coaches, but it's like for those who are family oriented, it's like, yo,
Yeah.
you need a really supportive family, you need a really supportive significant other, because this is going to take up a lot of your time. And I did admire that about Coach Hardy, because he always made time for his family and gave us the opportunity to do the same. At the same time, he wanted everything to be done and wanted us to treat basketball as a high priority, but he always, always put emphasis on spending time with your family and having that flexibility. So that was one thing that I did admire in regards to how he ran. Because some people are a little bit different,
Oh
where it's
yeah, for
like
sure.
it's unheard of to take time off or to celebrate a family when you have some type of basketball obligation. Like, he was really flexible with that, because he had 4 kids and a wife that he had to
Hmm.
figure out how to still keep them at a high priority level. So but it's not like that everywhere, and he will always say, like, a lot of my buddies, they not allowing this, but I trust y'all and I know we're going to get the work done. But yeah, I mean, you got a family. It's gonna be hard to give 100% to this, because something's gonna take the back seat.
Right.
There's also, like I said, I got lucky, I got fortunate, because of the timing and how the work went that I was putting in. But this could be a grind, because ultimately, like, before I got into it, my goal was to be, one of the first female head coaches, and it's like last year you think about the path that you have to endure to get there. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, we got to win here first
Yeah.
for me to even be in consideration. And then possibly, you have to move up a level, or if your coaches leave, you will hope that you made a good impression on the administrators there. But then it's like, all right, well, say you have to move up a level to show, what you're capable of doing. And then you got to win there, and then you got to continue to network. So it's like, yo, that's another 5 to 8 year,
Yeah.
you know, uh, career path. And it's like, yo, I'm 34, 33 at this time. I don't know if I'm willing to, do all of this
Sacrifice.
to 40 to then get one, opportunity and then see how that works out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and there are people who are willing to do that. Like, like K-State coach, he put in 16 years, you know what I'm saying? But it's
Hmm.
like, you're the same thing I say to athletes that want to go overseas. It's like, it's going to test you to really see if this is what you want to do. Because when it comes to those moments where you like, man, forget this, that's when you really gonna know how passionate you are about it. And I'm not saying I was like, F this, I'm out.
Yeah.
It was just more so like, is this really the dream?
Hmm.
Like, I was fortunate enough to partially achieve what my goal was and the dream job I thought it was, but I won't lie to you. Literally the week after I made the decision, I did those 2 seminars at the elementary, middle schools with the collegiate athletes, and both sides was just so appreciative and they enjoyed it. And, just seeing that communication and just how they connected, like it was like, nah, like this is
That's
where it's
it.
at.
Hmm.
This is what's on my heart. And, like I said, like at the time, chasing, being one of the only women on the men's side was definitely my goal, and I'm glad that I was, able to achieve it. But the youth, like they got something on me where it's like, nah, like I gotta help them, like my motto is, be who you needed when you were younger. So
Right.
it's like everything I've learned through mistakes. So, I'm big on mentorship and just trying to give them the cheat codes that they need to kind of succeed. And it won't be in basketball. It
Hmm.
may be something totally different, but maybe I can connect you to someone that can, empower and enlighten you on that process. So, but yeah, like I liked it. I loved it. I love being in the gym. I love recruiting. I love connecting with other coaches, hearing their stories. So, nah, it was definitely an enjoyable experience. But I just didn't feel like I was able to do what I really, really wanted to do, what was really in my heart. So,
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that if you chase your purpose, the title doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like you're probably more impactful than a lot of people that are in higher positions because you're being able to touch, a variety of a demographic, not just athletes, but also youth that don't play. You have an after school program, you have a vending machine business, you're an event curator. I saw you had posted that you realize that you enjoy that and seeing people happy and enjoying your events. So you're literally preaching to the choir because I think at some point you have to really sit back and say, hey, is this really worth everything that I am putting in the back burner? And especially one of the things that I wanted to kind of touch base on when you mentioned, like, your head coach has a supportive partner and kids. As female coaches, it's really difficult to find a supportive partner and a supportive partner that is okay with taking the backseat and maybe being a stay-at-home mom or dad or whatever the case. And that's been the difficult part of it, having to really, I know so many female coaches that are single in their 50s, 40s, because they've been so career driven and it's just non-existent. So, in regards to, stepping away from it, it's safe to say that you currently don't miss coaching because you're still impactful and you're still feeling purposeful.
no, I miss it. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, like I'm coaching in the Brunson League, and I'm gonna coach a lot of my guys that I've coached at Loyola and guys that I recruited. I'm coaching in the Bethel League.
Yeah.
Like I will continue to coach. It's just a matter of at the college level.
Yeah.
So with the nonprofit, we may start a team. Me and Sam are working on opening up a gym. It's called the Sanctuary. Basically, we're converting an old church into a gym. So I know there'll be basketball coaching within that. Like I said, I'm gonna be coaching these pro-am leagues, and I may get into the AAU scene.
Yeah.
Just because of I've been kind of dabbling back into women's basketball, girls basketball. Just trying to like I always said I gotta do it for the culture at some
Yeah.
point. So I've always still mentored them. I've still helped them get overseas, but that grassroots through high school kind of age bracket is kind of where I'm gonna try to really put my footprint and handprint on. So I'm definitely going to continue to coach.
Yeah.
It's just that college basketball is something that hasn't seemed too much appealing to me. So
Yeah.
like I say, yeah, I'm coaching this summer, definitely, but as far as being back on the collegiate side, that's something that like I said, unless it's Morgan, it may take a while to get back into it.
Yeah.
Once I feel like I'm in a good space and everything's able to run itself, and maybe I do get that itch to be back on the college scene, because it's nothing like college basketball. We all know that,
Right.
but it is demanding and it takes a
Hmm.
lot. So until I get back in a space where I feel like, all right, like I really served my purpose and did what I was supposed to do, I'm gonna just keep doing, all of the things I have going on, and yeah, I'm gonna still coach. I'm gonna
Yeah.
definitely get my coaching fix in, but it's just in regards to the college side of it. That's where the question mark is.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, hopefully there are some changes in the rules at some point that will allow you to be in the space of college coaching and also within the community.
Hmm.
And and one of the things, it's funny, not funny, but it's interesting that you brought up the Brunson link, because I had the opportunity to be an assistant coach last year, and people would always ask, because they know that we know each other, and they were like, "Yo, why is Tiny not coaching?" And I'm like, "Y'all don't
Hmm.
understand. Like, there's so many rules. Like,
Hmm.
being NCAA sanctioned, like all these
Yeah.
things, even players that want to play in it, like there's so many
Right.
rules, and people just take things for face value, and unless they ask the questions, they won't find out. So I know about leader breeders. I've had the
Hmm.
opportunity to attend events, and try to do as much as I can on my part with supporting you in leader breeders. But for those that are listening that aren't familiar with leader breeders, tell us how it came about. You said during COVID. Tell us how it came about, why it came about, and then what you're currently doing and any upcoming events that you might have.
Okay. So for me, as I mentioned, my passions are of course basketball, but helping people, and primarily, I love helping the youth. I've always been someone involved with the youth heavily. My bachelor's was phys ed K-12. Every summer I was either working or running a basketball camp or a summer camp. um, so my connection to the youth in Baltimore, like I said, started when I got here in '06. So I was a part of a mentor program called Morgan Mentor Winston Winters with basically Winston Middle School, which was a couple blocks away. And they coupled us with their athletes at that school. And, we would have one-off events every month. We would go to each other games. And, I still talk to a lot of those kids I mentor to this day. So, during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, personally, I just felt like I was just like in a space where I felt like I didn't have a purpose, because when basketball was taken away, it's like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
what am I gonna do? Like I can't ref, I can't coach, can't work out, you know what I'm saying? So during the pandemic, I'm like, yo, not even just for basketball, but I wish I had a space that, I could just have some people in and really just help them through this time right now, because it's like it was just so much going on. And I
Mm-hmm.
know with the kids and everything they were going through, it was like, yo, I wish I had a location where, yeah, they shut down everything, but I might have snuck and opened it up just for them. So
Yeah.
doing that brainstorming, and as I said, I was officiating up until that point. I was working with Polly. So I had a lot of connection to Baltimore's youth. So I'm actually just trying to get out the house, and I'm at a gas station. So as you know, you have the squeegee boys in Baltimore and you
Mm-hmm.
have guys that are in the gas station, both just really trying to get a couple dollars to,
Yeah.
do a service in a sense. So me, I'm the type of person, like, I'm weird in a way, but like, kids, squeegee boys, those people, homeless people, like, I'm always curious as to
How
what's
they
their
ended up.
motivation, how they got there, and things of that nature. So get to the gas station, and one guy, he, cleans my window, the other officer pump my gas. I'm like, all right, bet, cool. And then I'm like, yo, like, what's your story? What y'all got going on? How old are y'all? So, one of them, he's like, yo, I'm 16 and I really want to own a car wash. And, for me, I feel like there are some skills I need to learn, but I feel like doing this helps me with, customer service and just understanding cars and all of that good stuff. There was an 18-year-old. He like, I really just want to get my GED, but I'm homeless. I don't really have much family to kind of, direct me. So he's like, I feel like it may cost to get my GED, but I also just need money to survive, because on top of that, I got a baby on the way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, I'm wishing I could say, yo, here, come to the
Right.
center and let's figure it out. You know what I mean? So leave there, and I'm just thinking, because it's the pandemic, you have nothing but time to think and really plan. And I'm like, I already had a nonprofit in New York at the time, and the nonprofit in New York, T3 Sports, that was specifically geared towards women,
Mm-hmm.
helping them achieve whatever goals they have through basketball, through sports. But I was like, you know what, like, after everything I learned through that nonprofit, I need to start one here in Baltimore
Yeah.
and really work towards opening this facility. So, we got incorporated August of 2020. And, I started to reach out to a lot of like minded people that I knew within the community that wanted to do the same work that I wanted to do. It was also important to have my board reflect Baltimore. So I had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of successful people who maybe they didn't play at the moment, but they played at some point in their life. Some of them didn't even play any sports, but they were a success story in my mind from
Yeah.
Baltimore. So it was important to have them reflect that on my board, so that when we are communicating and interacting, they can see it and have some hope. Like, all right, well, if Reggie did it, I know I can do it. Reggie came from
Mm-hmm.
Cherry Hill and he's doing his thing. I know I can do it. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of the mindset behind it. So, Leader Breeder's mission is to impact the inner city youth in basically any way we can. We want to
Yeah.
help empower them, we want to enlighten them, and we want to help them figure out what their career paths are, whether it's sports related or not. Like I said, ultimately, our dream is to have our own youth development center where I can do that and say, here, come
Mm-hmm.
to this space where there's basketball, there's volleyball, there's football, skill development, there's lacrosse development, there's the arts where maybe you're into fashion, maybe you're into music, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you need to figure out your business plan and get assistance that way. Maybe you need behavior health or mental health. So that's my ultimate goal. Right now, as I mentioned, very close with Sam Brand, and as we work to turn this church into a gymnasium, the bottom floor will also reflect all of the stuff that I mentioned. So it won't solely be Leaders Breeder space, but
Okay.
it can help us get closer to our goal. Another thing we've been doing is establishing consistent programming within Baltimore City schools. So right now we have verbal agreements with uh, Hazelwood Elementary Middle and Edmondson High School. And basically, we are going to offer programming twice a week based off of what their interests and needs are. So
Yeah.
that can be anything from life skills to cooking classes to basketball skill development to career development, college readiness, whatever that we find that group is interested in. That's what we're going to kind of tailor the program around. I'm also working with Morgan State to basically recreate that mentor program that I was a part of.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to pilot it at Morgan, but I also want it to be statewide. And I want to add another layer to it. So before it was the college athletes to the middle school kids, I want to also add an alumni graduate type of level that can
Mm-hmm.
also mentor the college kids and then just have everything trickle down. So I'm working with Morgan to not just establish that with athletics, but with the whole uh, Morgan community of students. And yeah, that's kind of where we are. So we're 3 years in. August 6th will be our third year anniversary. And like I said, I've had to do everything around the basketball schedule. So for
Yeah.
these past 6 weeks, I've been able to really make the connections and some partnerships and really just put things in motion now that I have a lot more time. So, we have two events coming up. June 17th, we're going to do a free basketball clinic with Senator Corey McCray. That's one of our newest partnerships. He's the best. Like, I love him. And he
Shout
wants
out to
us,
Senator.
facts, shout out to Senator Corey McCray. And he wants us to help him target the middle high school, I mean, the junior high school population, because he feels like there's not much programming for them. So we're starting with basketball, but we will start to offer more services. As I mentioned, we do have the partnership with Hazelwood Elementary Middle, which is also in his district. Um, and on the 17th, we're doing a free basketball clinic for participants ages 10 to 14. We have 46 kids registered. Uh,
Awesome.
Everything free. We'll give shirts, lunch. I have a lot of my friends working as coaches, and just a day of just understanding what it takes to be a good basketball player. And maybe you won't play, but you'll have the chance to interact with different kids in your area and just learn from people who've done what you're trying to do. And then June 24th is the big one, which is our fundraiser. And it's basically a brunch slash day party. And basically, a lot of the things we offer for free. So, donations and, attendance in our fundraisers are really important right now because that's what's helping us to be able to do the things we're doing.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we're 3 years in and we're just now establishing some consistent programming. So, of course, we have hired a grant writer to help us get, some of the state funds and everything that's out there. But for the time being, everything's either out of pocket or from what we get from donations and the fundraising events we do. So June 24th, we're hosting a brunch fundraiser at the Cellar in Parkville. It's going to be from 1 to 5 p.m. It'll be, all you can eat brunch, mimosas unlimited all day. We have some special guests coming out, and it's just going to be a good time. And for us, like I said, I do enjoy, bringing people together. For me, my network is very large, and I just feel like we're able to all connect and help each other. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a great time, but it's also going to be a good opportunity to connect with other people in the community who are all doing similar things. And, I think it's up to us to kind of, help the youth, and not just the youth, but just to help our community progress and just get to where we need to be as a whole. So June 24th is the brunch fundraiser. And then we're also working with Corey McRae again to host basically a weekend basketball tournament at the Dome. But the last day will be like a championship family block party kind of day where we'll have vendors and all of that good stuff. So once we get the confirmation, we'll have that stuff come out. And like I said, everything is going to be free. We're definitely working diligently to establish the partnerships that can help us continue to do events like this. But like I said, it's not going to be all basketball. We're going to do a lot of life skills workshops. We have a college tour lined up. We're having, sewing classes. We're going to do a lot more different things to expose the youth to different opportunities because everybody's not going to be able to play basketball.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is the more you expose them to different things, they can kind of figure out what they're good at, what they're passionate about, but they first have to see it. Like we've seen basketball players, we've seen coaches, so we know that's something that's realistic. But if they don't see the things that are kind of outside of the norm, then it's like, how do they know if it's something they may be good at or
Right.
not? Because there's so much talent in Baltimore, from the grassroots all the way up into the adults. It's just not many exposure opportunities or just opportunities to even figure it out and get it wrong. Like we've been able to work at being coaches, being players, and ultimately failing and learning from our mistakes. But there are people who don't get those same opportunities to kind of fail and learn and understand what it takes to kind of be successful in
Yeah.
whatever it is you want to do. So that's kind of the spiel on Leader Breeders and what we got going on. But I think, like I said, the last 6 weeks I've been able to make a lot of great partnerships and just build the foundation. And we're in a good space, so a lot of great things to come. And for our current supporters like yourself, past supporters, future supporters, we appreciate it. Like I was just able to take 14 girls to a Washington Mystics game, and they loved it. Only one of them had ever been, but those are the type of experiences that I want to provide.
Yeah, and being a Boys and Girls Club alumni, when I first came to the United States from Mexico, the Boys and Girls Club was my safe haven, and it was free at the time. Now those are a little costly, but it's programs like yours are needed, especially in communities like Baltimore. I remember when I first moved here, and I was like, "Who are the people I need to meet?" And you were one of the first, and they're like, "She's not from here, but she's practically from here," So everything that you do there's an impact, and I'm glad that you have the opportunity to really hone in and focus on that, because now you do have more leniency with your schedule. And I can definitely understand that, having been in that situation. So, and shout out to your superstar board members. I know a couple of them, very impactful in the, very impactful in the community as well. All right, so we're getting to the end of our time, but if anyone wants to reach out to you, Coach, how would they go about finding you on social media, Instagram, your phone number, email address, whatever you want to share to anyone that's watching this that wants to reach out to you for mentorship or to support leader breeders? How can they get in contact with you?
So on Instagram, you can find me at coach_TA9. Like I said, I answer all DMs and messages. Also email tiny@tinyadams.com. And, like I said, I'll answer right away whenever I can. But, that's pretty much it. And then we have the website for Leader Breeders, leaderbreeders.org, as well as Leader Breeders on Instagram. We're on Twitter, but we haven't been as active. So I don't even want to waste your time going there. But yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out. Any ideas, anything you're interested in. I'm all ears, all the way down for anything.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate you taking the time. I was super excited for this. As soon as, shout out to Rising Coaches and Brian Burton for connecting us, but really not connecting us, because as you said, we go a little back since I've been in Baltimore. But again, this is brought to you by Rising Coaches. If you're interested in joining one of our biggest coaching trees, please go to risingcoaches.com and check out the membership opportunities. And again, Coach, it's a pleasure as always. I look forward to seeing you kill it at the Brunson League and anything else that you do. And I will see you at your brunch. I will be there.
Most definitely. I appreciate you. Like I said, this was definitely a great experience. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Shout out to you doing your thing.
Thank you.
We definitely going to tap in and collaborate on some things. So I'll see you around, and, keep doing your thing as well.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.